Where does success come from? My name is Joseph Darling. This is the Men of High Value channel, and today I am breaking down what success is and how you can have as much of it as you want, at some point in the future at least. Let's first start with what success is. There's two different parts. One is enjoying the journey, and the other one is arriving at the destination. It is crucial to have both of them. Sometimes people talk about, well, it's only about enjoying the journey. And I'm like, no, it's not. Because you need to arrive at some form of destination that you've wanted to arrive to in order for there to be a success. Why? You might have heard the saying, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Okay? It's the same thing with the other one. The road to failure, ultimate failure, is paved with people who enjoy the journey. Okay? You don't want to continuously only enjoy the journey, because if you do that at a level that does not produce long-term success exponentially, then you're simply going to have enjoyed a low frequency, low vibration level of success when you could have had so much more. So at some point you need to accept that the long-term journey is what's at stake here. Short term, this is what you're feeling. Long term, this is what you could be feeling, or this is what you could be feeling, right? So you need to be making consecutive, consistent, good choices over a long period of time that gives you the exponential growth curve. And hopefully, while you're on that journey of making good, wise decisions, you are also enjoying that process, even though it might be a little bit more painful than those that are comfortably going down to hell and failure. Okay? Do you understand what I mean? So let's understand this quote. Success is going from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. I believe that was Winston. I believe that was Winston Churchill that actually came up with that quote, and you need to use it in your life. Are you continuously going from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm? So, two aspects to that. Do you have enthusiasm? Because there is such a thing called the happiness advantage. If you're continuously enthusiastic, fantastic. Then begin to apply it while actually moving through the walls of failure. Failure is a fantastic thing because it helps you to understand the new steps, the new plans that you need to put in place in order for you to eventually make it to the other side and arrive at the destination. So that's how success works. Let's now go through the quote by Anthony Robbins where he says where success comes from. Success comes from good judgment. Good judgment comes from experience. And experience comes from bad judgment. That's where success comes from. And you need to understand all of those three. It's actually only three things. Good judgment comes from experience. Experience comes from bad judgment. So let's understand all of these. Could you have a success journey continuously through that process? Yes. Can you be enthusiastic when you have bad judgment? Yes, as long as you're willing to work and willing to learn. Those are the things that will help you to stop having bad judgment. But if you're enthusiastically having bad judgment while continuously to have even worse bad judgment, right? You'll eventually end up with ultimate failure, and that's, you can compare it to massive debt, like that. An example of that is stimulant addiction, or any other forms of addiction, or any other forms of debt, or breakups, divorces, etc., etc. That's you being in massive debt where you owe something to others, or maybe your psyche has gone underwater and you have a low self-esteem, which, like, you got to dig yourself out of that eventually, right? Mentally. And you'll need a lot of help in order to do so, perhaps. You don't want to end up in that situation. So you want to, as soon as possible, if you can, go through bad judgment while continuously observing yourself and observing other people, so that you can get better at avoiding what bad judgment is, which means that you got to follow those that have better judgment than you do. When you're a baby, you have horrible judgment. You want to, put your finger into the electrical, do you get what I'm saying? This is what kids do. But over time, you begin to mature and you begin to get a little bit wiser over the years, hopefully. And that's going to lead to experience. Actually, it's the failures that lead to experience, right? If you continuously have bad experiences, but you actually are willing to learn from it, you're going to gain experience. Now, how much experience do you need? Well, you're competing against a lot of other people. So the more people you're competing against, the more experience you're going to need in order for you to have better judgment than everyone else. Because it is good judgment or better judgment or best judgment that eventually gets ultimate success. And this is what we're trying to arrive at. So let's compare those two sentences. So bad judgment means hard work and effort, right? Trial and error, and doing that for a long period of time until you begin to gain some experience, and that produces skill level, right? So the hard work and effort, this is why rich people sometimes says that it's not hard work that's going to make you successful. Hard work is always an important, critical, crucial ingredient of attaining lifelong success, because that's where it starts. We all start with crappy judgment. Whether it's a YouTube video, whether it's a product that we're trying to launch, it's always going to be bad in the beginning. And that's fantastic. And that's why you need to have quantity first and then quality in order for you to see what sticks. You need to have the shotgun approach before you can have the sniper approach of knowing what's good judgment and what's going to work if I do this repeatedly. Which leads me to the next one, which is experience, which is, well, I'm not going to do that again. Simply put, right? Because you eventually get to the point, hopefully, where you're saying, I'm never, ever, ever doing that again, right? A point of disgust, where you now begin to actually figure out what actually does work. And now you can say, dang, I have to do this again. And then I have to do this again and again. And now you're rinsing and repeating. That's the ultimate way to achieve success, because now you're entering into habit mode. And you're creating what I call success automation. You're tapping into habits, right? Practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent. So at some point, you need to be practicing the correct things, the correct habits, the good judgment habits, because that's going to lead you to have best judgment compared to everyone else. So let's talk a little bit more again about enjoying the journey versus actually getting to the destination. Enjoying the journey in this case is a waste of time, okay? In the example that I'm going to explain to you now. Let's say enjoying the journey with income that you get from a job. Enjoying the journey sounds like consumption, right? The more you enjoy the journey with the resources, the little tiny resources that you've got, the more you're going to consume, right? That's not what you want to continuously do, because that's going to eventually lead you to exponential decline, because everything is becoming more expensive through inflation. Heard of that? Right? So we need to get to a destination as fast as physically possible. And number one, that destination is for you to live within your means. Sounds extremely boring, doesn't it? But simply having more income than what is going out on the other side, right? You need to have more money coming in than money going out. Have you arrived at that point? If you're still using credit cards, you haven't, right? You should not be using credit cards, because then you're going into exponential decline mode. It's a bad habit to have, right? So you need to get to the point where you now are making more money than you're spending money. This is financial literacy 101. And this is where you start. And guess what? It can start this month. If you're in an extremely bad situation, okay, maybe it'll take until next month, whatever. If you're paying down credit cards, that means that you've already made it. that you've already arrived at a positive destination of actually getting rid of it. Now, it's important that you don't get back into credit card debt, but now you're beginning to see what I'm saying. You need to arrive at a destination as fast as possible. It's not just about enjoying the journey. Arrive at the destination of beginning to have more income than expenses. There's a way that you can actually trick your brain to do this the right way today or next paycheck. It's called pay yourself first. It's such a crucial principle because all rich people do this. Every single one of them, okay? Poor people, they pay everyone first, and then whatever they have left over, well, guess what? They don't, because they always consume, and have to pay everyone that they've consumed from, instead of actually retaining some of that value for a long-term perspective of creating even more income. Pay yourself first and put it into income-producing assets. And the most important one is your mind, your education, because that has infinite ROI, right? ROI, yes, return on investment. So how do you trick your brain to do this? Well, you pay yourself first. You set aside a percentage. I recommend starting with 10%, okay? If that's too easy, do 20. If that's too easy, go 50. If that's even easier, go 75%, right? Where you're setting aside money in order for you to put it into income-producing assets. What happens if you actually, literally did that first? No matter what type of bills you've got, what happens? I'm not saying don't pay your bills. I'm saying that for a short period of time, feel the pain of not touching the money that you've set aside. As a result, you're now going to have some pain. Maybe there's going to be some people that scream at you because you've consumed more than what you were supposed to. Over time, you will be able to say no to a lot of things that you have been consuming. And then only say yes to the things that actually will create more income over time. This is the difference between enjoying the journey and then arriving at a destination. Hopefully, you can enjoy the journey while setting aside 10, 20, 50% of your income, right? For income producing assets. If you can do that with the smile on your face, going from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm, now we're on the right track, right? So step number 2 would be to take that money that you've got into income producing assets, take all of it, maybe, right? Or maybe 80% of it, and invest in your own mental education for how to get to 10K USD per month in income. Anyone can get to 10K in USD per month in income after taxes. Anyone can do it. It might take a long period of time for some, but everyone can do it. You could learn a skill that someone needs from you that will give you 10K per month. As a result of you actually setting aside that money in order for you to get the training and education for you to actually arrive at that point, that's what's necessary. So that's where success comes from, is you actually taking those miniature steps, one step at a time, enjoying that journey, but then actually proceeding towards getting to your final destination. This is what I wanted to share with you guys. I hope you got a ton of value out of it. As an extra, I actually have just finalized putting together a free trial for a few individuals who wanted coaching from me but have not been able to afford it in the past. So what I did was I've taken a few of them in, and I've promised them that they're going to get free coaching from me in October, free of charge, but only through texting alone. So I'm going to coach them on a daily basis in October for them to get the results that they desire in their lives without them having to use any of the income producing assets money that they've set aside with Pay Yourself First on me on that first month. But guess what? We've closed our doors on that offer as of now, but we're opening the doors in November in a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks or so. Right before November starts, we're going to open the doors, and I hope that you're going to participate there. Make sure you do, and I'll see you guys in the next one.